Carol McIntosh, Joseph King, Patrick Julian,
Present.
William Harris,
Present.
Paige Brusso,
Present.
Enrico Rodriguez.
Present. Six. Item 3, anyone like to have a word of prayer for this meeting?
Dear kind of eternal Father, we thank you. We thank you for life, we thank you for health, and we certainly thank you for strength and having a reasonable portion of what's left of our right mind. Now, God, as we come together to do the business of the city, we ask that you bless our intentions, that you bless our fruition, and that you give us peace and give us knowledge and wisdom on how to say and what to say. In Jesus' name we pray. Thank God. Amen.
I see no public speakers. So we will move on. Line 4, 5. Open remark. I'd like to thank everybody for being able to show up today. So we can at least try to do the business of the city as applied to the challenge. Several things, and I was trying to think, I didn't write them down, that come to mind with the board. One is question where we get into Mr. Smith. I got to sit down with him next week, so we start putting the work together and finalizing just what those are going to look like. I was supposed to meet with him today. Mr. Harris, I see you going through some other things there, but I don't like to meet with anyone alone.
What day?
Well, I will see what day is available.
Okay.
Since you tell me about your pastor, I'll let you figure out what. Tomorrow is not going to be a good day. Thursday will work. I was going to leave out of town Thursday, but I might have to be here anyway, if that works.
Thursday.
Well, think about it. Give me a.
I'll call you.
Let me know later.
I will.
And we'll set it up. As we left our last meeting with Mr. Clyde, something came to mind I think we need to look at as a board. I've come to realize that some of the problem we having as a board is that we're the only one reading the charter. Listen to Mr. Edward, he had no idea what's in the charter. And when stuff come to him, and I'm understanding that across the board, that people, this is what we used to do, always the way things operated. And they don't have a clue about the charter. And we have set out to enforce the charter where it should be. We did get some reaction quickly when we started talking about subpoenaing. It's got the legal department, they heard that real quickly. Now I was asked, well, me and Mr. Harris was here for a meeting, was asked to meet with the city attorney. But the board asked for the city attorney, not me, Mr. Harris. And I wasn't gonna sit down with a request that the board made and be a third party. When we make that request as a board, then he had to come to the board and answer that. I don't believe in that.
Mm-hmm.
So I never got back with him with it I want, but I will get the message to him that he needs to come before the board. At this time, since Mr. Edward is involved, we'll just deal it. I would lay that out.
That's different, but okay.
Well, I will give Mr. Edward a chance to do something, if it's all right with the board. Not directly, but to see the financial office that we asked for, we'll put that request back out, and if that doesn't happen, then I guess we go, and I guess we get into, I'm getting into another discussion instead of remarks, but those are some things I want to think about, and we can discuss them later on in the meeting, and anything else that we're gonna have come up. But at this point, I will entertain item 7, review, change, and approve of the agenda.
I would move that the agenda be approved.
Support. It has been moved and properly supported that we accept the agenda with any changes. What is in favor of the body? Ms. Lil, we'll do it with roll call.
Carol McIntosh,
Yes.
Joseph King,
Yes.
Patrick Julian,
Yes.
William Harris,
Yes.
Paige Russo,
Yes.
Enrique Rodriguez,
Yes.
6-1. 6-0. Y'all got to forgive me.
Sorry, it's been long.
Yeah. Motion for the approval of the agenda have been passed. Now item 8, review and approve of the minutes.
I move that we approve the minutes.
I do want to make an addendum to the minutes.
With any necessary changes.
I'll second, so we can discuss it.
One thing is this,
Discuss.
Mr. Edwards didn't deny that when we asked him in the minutes, when we asked him about the ARPA dollars being set aside for bottled water, in the minutes, I would like to reflect that he did decline to answer that question. He emphatically declined. He said I will not answer that.
Correct. And I'll change it to the minute. If not, I would, if no more discussion, we would move on with the minutes with any, all changes added, with any changes. Be duly noticed.
Yes, I'll add it to it.
Okay.
And it'll reflect on the next meeting that.
Okay.
Call for the vote.
Roll call.
Carol McIntosh,
Yes.
Joseph King,
Yes.
Patrick Julian,
Yes.
William Harris,
Yes.
Paige Russo.
Yes.
Enrique Rodriguez.
Yes.
Okay.
All right. Go to discussion. Budget committee report.
Miss Thompson was doing that, and
And she's
I
still
don't-
not present.
Who else on that board?
I was, but
So, has anyone got any
No, we didn't have any communication.
Well, what we do need to do is get the updated notes for her. We can definitely fill you in. We went over some things that we found necessary for the ombudsperson's office, including software, possibility of renting or leasing a space, things we discussed in the open meeting as a board. And she was supposed to be adding those things in with crunch numbers the last time we were together, which was another reason we even discussed subpoenas, because we needed to speak with him to get a solid number to present to City Council for our budget for the Ombudsman's office, so we can be considered for the funding for the Ombudsman's office. So that's where we are, and I guess we probably better be calling Ms. Thompson and checking on her, one, and B, getting the information and any updates she may have or anything any emails she may want to pass forward. Maybe we're gonna have to take the ball and run with it so we can get that paperwork in a timely manner.
And the other thing is now we gotta compute how much, bottled water with,
that's what.
once that comes out.
Yeah, well, that's what it was supposed to include, that, because
Oh, okay.
he did say that once we found that out, that he would move that along for us.
Yeah, put
So
that in our budget.
our last meeting, that was supposed to be included in our budget, and we were supposed to be getting the final bus down.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
So that's where we are with that. So if she's absent or something's happened, I guess we better make contact and find that out, because we might need to go over the numbers again amongst ourselves and get our notes together and move forward. Either way, we do need to contact her and move forward.
See, and I want to make a statement. I was contacted from the finance department with a proposed potential budget with the supply stuff and the breakdown of what was used last year and the salaries and stuff. So that's what I was waiting on also. And I know that's the reason that you all want to meet with them too.
Right.
Because they based it on, like last year's budget with
And we
some
made
increases.
some adjustments.
With some increases in the salaries, because we did we had talked about proposing, a higher salary for the hourly wages for the analyst and the administrative assistant. So once I get those, I'll make sure, just like I did the other one, I'll bring that. What they proposed, what they've done so far.
Okay, can you maybe text me Ms. Thompson's number? So
I sure can.
Contact her and then move forward, and then.
I hope everything is all right, because normally she don't miss me.
No, I didn't see a response. She said she got a part-time job. She couldn't make it.
Oh, okay. Oh, okay.
She responded yesterday.
Okay, so with that being said, then.
I don't know if that means for every Tuesday or just for this Tuesday.
Well, even nevertheless, if she's tied up doing other things now and she has a job, then I think it would behoove us to get those, whatever she has to offer up, and move forward, And when she can make it, then we'll accept whatever she has to offer, of course, but we have to be prepared to turn something in because deadlines are approaching.
We just need to remind her of that.
I'm sending you her number now.
Yeah, it's very important that we move on the budget. So we got
I don't know.
probably no support on the council, but we probably can get an increase in the budget
Yes.
now. So we need to move with something, and I think we discussed earlier, Mr. Rodriguez, is that should be a separate part of the budget that is for the EAB board itself. And there's some things could be put in there that we probably need. One is we're gonna probably need to do something with legal. We're probably gonna need, if we're doing the training, we need something in the budget for that. We also need to look at, since this is a free body, is something that should be in that budget, at least for the gas and coming to meetings and so on. And that need to be in a budget that's separated for the EAB board. Ms. McIntyre.
And in case, I'm just saying, in case the law does not permit for us to receive any type of stipend or gas mileage, because I think we discussed that and they basically ruled that out, that's fine, but we need to be provided with a space for us to at least meet comfortably and decently in this COVID environment. And they need to provide us at least with some coffee and some muffins. That's the least they can do. I mean, you're getting off work, you're ripping and running, you're sliding in here, you're giving your time, you're getting in hot water with possibly maybe even politicians. You're investigating. I'm using my personal cell phone. Did we put something in there for us to get a cell phone? Because your phone can be subpoenaed if we do any kind of investigating or communicating or whatever. And now you got my personal line subpoenaed with city business. Dag nabbit, silly rabbit. So I think those things.
Tricks off the
And that's why I try to use the office cell phone.
Yeah,
when I call to
but
establish
in this
meetings.
time of technology, there's no way we can function appropriately without some type of tools at hand. And I think for them to provide at least a cell phone and some muffins and coffee, we can't get paid, to my understanding.
And you're right, but I think the only way we're gonna be able to do that is
But the
have
problem is
a budget, especially for this board.
Oh, yeah.
And those items
I
have to
agree
be
with
line
you.
item in there.
I totally
So
agree
when they
with you.
see that, that's what it is. And I don't think we get a lot of support back from that, if it's reasonable.
Well, do you think maybe one of you two gentlemen should make a call to somebody legally, somebody that would know legally if that's acceptable,
Because I don't,
and find out, because if we're talking about putting it in our budget, then we need to do some fast research.
because I think the only thing the charter mentions is that we can't receive pay,
Hey,
For meetings.
but it doesn't, right, but it doesn't.
expense, you
Is
get
that-
money
is
for
that
expense, yeah.
Correct, yeah.
Right, but,
Okay.
but the problem with the budget is I don't see a problem getting the budget if we line item is something that makes sense to the council, they'll pass it. Remember, we got one through the council. The problem of it is the mayor wouldn't sign it. So we need to go back with just a budget just for this board.
I agree.
And then we'll look at what need to be increased with our ombudsman office. We got some thing there is spending. Pandemic put us in a spot where we're not spending the whole budget. No, we're not coming close, and we don't, you really can't ask for more money when you're not spending the money that you have. So we have to make sure that that budget is where that we're using that budget.
And then also I found out in DC when I was down there, they have, their board is called Ethics and Governmental Oversight. I thought it was in governmental oversight. I said, this sounds more like a congressional board, but after looking to it, DC is their own board, and they have a convention.
Yeah,
DC, they have a convention in DC. And so some money should be out. You're not paying us, but we definitely should be able to attend a convention in order to do things better, in order to get better understanding as far as, executing the charter and things of that nature, and learning more about our position. That should be allowed in the budget. Since you're not paying us, you can pay for our flight and our hotel.
Well, Ms. Gilman has spoke to us about that when we visited, because they got a whole building dedicated to their situation, okay, right here in Detroit. So they were speaking to us about those different things, because they have ethics and accountability, ethics and governance in several other places, and they were naming the places they had them and how they were set up, because that's when we were first setting up. So with that being said, we checked on that, and they said you can absolutely include that in your budget.
Okay,
You have to
good.
include training, is what is considered.
Consider training.
Like a
Yes.
retreat.
Yes, and they said it should be labeled as training, some type of city training, to that effect. I don't think retreat should be, because that sounds like,
Retreat is,
Well,
it's
Maybe
getting
not
heads
retreat,
together on retreat. You have a retreat.
well, I understand what it is. I'm just saying they a little rough. They won't even pay for water. Okay.
training can always be in there, just what amount you want to put there for training. That word speaks for itself.
Yeah.
Right.
So we had to realize, we had to put a pick on that. What kind of training do we want to be looking at? But there's one thing about this board, that no other board in the country have. We got some legal power that nobody else have, that those powers won't come with a cost if we start to try and enforce them. Most boards can only, if an accountability board can only recommend and do things. They don't have the power to do subpoena and go into court and stuff. This board there's not another board in the country that got the power that this board has. And the charter they never looked at that when they did the charter, and they never put any funding in there. They never would have made this board if they were thinking about what we would have to do, a non-paying board. There's no way, how can you enforce something? How could this board turn into the work, in order for this board to work the way it should? This is a job. This is a job to be able to enforce this charter. And it takes time. And we need to look at what it's gonna take for us to make this charter be enforced, performed the way it should be. And that's what we should be budgeting at. What are we missing? What do we need that we don't have? Good. Well, I know a lot of things, but we need to put those. We need to come together, put those things, put our head together, and say, what if we have to do this? What if we gotta do the subpoena? Legal don't want to do it. Then what? How we gonna get it done? How we gonna pay for it?
Outside counsel.
But how we gonna pay for it?
Yeah.
You know, I mean, we know we could go to that step, but then what we gonna do? We're gonna hire you, and then we'll go back and try to get sue the city or something to pay you. We need to know what those options are, how we gonna do that. So, but I guess that's something we all need to be looking at.
Create the line item.
And
She sent you the line items of your office already
For
for last year.
yes.
So you pretty much see what you spent, the office spent money on last year. So you can go from there and see that you could probably end up having to do that again this year, then add to that, you know what I mean?
Add to,
And then what we're thinking about,
add to that also.
then
Yeah.
we put that in a line item under the right category
Yeah.
or something.
Yeah.
You know.
Because as I stated, when we got the last one of the biggest things they did, they were taking funds out of the wrong account for payroll and stuff
Right,
like that.
and that's the other reason why we asked finance to come, was to explain how in the world you made this big they say egregious mistake, because it was.
And it, it put a lot of money in one spot where it was supposed to be sitting there. And again, like he said, they do need to take into consideration of COVID. We weren't in here. The biggest bump came with, to do this office. But, we operated from our homes. And,
Well, the fact that somebody can access the ombudsman's budget for things outside of the ombuds person's business, but the ombuds person can't even get an office for themselves to conduct the ombudsman's business, is concerning within itself to me. That's just me,
No, I agree.
and I'm not trying to
I agree.
put anybody in the hot seat, but I want to say it again. If we ain't seriously addressing the issues that's really holding us up, like stuff like that, if we're not willing, because we talked about subpoenaing them, okay, we brought Mr. Edwards in, okay, now where are we with finance? Is finance showing up to explain this? Because that was the whole point that's bringing Mr. Edwards. It's all the spinning the wheels and never getting any traction.
Because my thing is this, you know, okay, yeah, you get dogged out by city council, but we don't talk. We didn't talk to them in a mean, rude, demeaning manner. We asked, and they still deny it. And I think what's happening is, and I'll be honest with you, what's happening is I think there's a lack of communication and a full understanding, I think, really about our board. Because this is what I'm hearing. Mr. Edwards brought up a good point. The old charter. And every time I hear about the ombudsman's office, people are always referring to the old charter and saying, well, why do we have an ombudsman if the mayor is going to be able to control her, or if city council is going to control her? And that's when I interjected and said, no, you have an ethics and accountability board now. Well, what are you? What do you guys do? I didn't even know you guys existed. So I think that's one of the hurdles that we're really getting with is getting word out and trying to get the people to understand, you know, we do have a board, and the ombudsman is not a political tool to be used.
That's why
They're
the
covered.
that's why the ombuds person is being forced to stay down here so that those people can regulate. To me, as far as I'm concerned, and to intimidate, like we said, at one point the ombuds person's office was right next to the mayor's office. If I'm having an issue with a city employee, I don't even have a problem with anybody. I'm telling you, I don't even have a problem, and I don't feel comfortable coming to report my local politicians down here at City Hall. Okay? I don't feel comfortable. Because first of all, if you're reporting a politician, then there's something serious going on down at City Hall. That would be my thought. So I think in order for this board to be taken seriously, we have to act according. We have to show that we're serious about business.
Mr. King, then I had spoke, because from my understanding, and we spoke the other day, that Mr. Edwards stated that he was going to put something out there to let the people know that this board exists and that they are supposed to respond. He said he was going to put that out there first. You give him a chance. Those was his words. That to explain the importance of the EAB board.
That was 2 weeks ago.
And in addition to that, he said, if I may, he said that if you're going to request something, either CC me. If you're going to request any information from one of the department heads, be sure you CC me, or I thought I understood that to ask him for the information.
I'm not asking him for nothing.
Can I say?
I'm sorry.
Okay.
I'm so sorry. Forgive
You
me.
talking about Ed?
Yes, I'm so sorry. I'm not asking him for nothing. Forgive me. I'm sorry.
Do you think that if we first submit something and they don't respond, but I don't think we should say what we're asking for, because that crosses that line of confidentiality in this office, confidentiality?
Well, I think he was having reference to communication to the board, to the different department heads. That's
That
what
they need to respond.
That they need to respond, and to CC him on it so that he can get them to respond. But also, Mr. Edwards stated that he would send you the communique as to what he was going to send to the directors and to the supervisors as far as it comes to honoring requests from the Ethics and Accountability Board and any other boards that have the kind of power or, kind of say so in bringing in different department heads. Now, that came out of his mouth 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
And he said that he was going to have it by our meeting, that you would get the email and we would all have it so that we would know what the correct language was being disseminated against to the city employees.
And, yeah, but one thing that was said, that send a request to where we're requesting and CC him on it. Not that we would go through him, that's not the understanding
Right.
I had. Now, but here's the other thing, and back to Ms. McIntyre's point, and I told Ms. Evans myself, I'm not one of those people that's gonna go begging you. The charter say we can do this, we can do that. And I'd like to work with Mr. Edward and see what he do, but I won't sit around and wait on Mr. Edward. And the problem is this board sit back and wait. Instead of going out doing what they do. That's why we're not known. That's why people don't know that we shouldn't be, if we got a problem, it should be known, we should be speaking loud. It's good Ms. Evans say those things, but we can't sit back and wait to see if Ms. Evans gonna do those things. We gotta drive our own bus. And I'm a firm believer is none of you should be sitting here twice this month just to meet and talk about what we asked Mr. Edward to do, and waiting on Mr. Edward, we're gonna be here June, still waiting on that.
Still waiting on him.
Yeah, what we have to decide as a group is, what do we go from here? What do we do?
I think we need to communicate and ask to remind him what we've discussed at this is our understanding, and to ask for some feedback from his office. Is he going to follow through?
Well, where I'm at here now is I'm gonna put requests in finance department at the next meeting. That's some question that we shouldn't be trying to figure out whether we can do or not. We're trying to do a budget. I don't believe that we should be sitting here worried about water. And the finance department is sending something out here. I want it on record, directly on record to this body. If you said this, so I can look at, is this legal? See, I get a lot of stuff from, and I do not believe half the stuff, and I'm not, I like Mr. Bush, I don't think he's one of them, but in the past, that legal, you give us the right information, interpretation. Now, if you can't, if you don't have confidence in your legal department, then we need to be looking at how do we get the legal advice we think we should be getting and what we have to do.
Yeah.
What should we be sending to legal? And go on, Ms. McIntyre, yeah, go ahead.
When we were talking about our budget, I mentioned that we need to put an attorney in the budget as well as a private investigator. Because if city council is saying somebody that ran and is sitting as council person in a ward that they don't live in, The ombuds person, our last ombuds person had a family. And, you know, she had young kids. Okay? We might need somebody to do a stakeout. Nobody, this is my take on us, okay? People would know about us if we were doing what we're supposed to do. That's my take. As far as the financial department, we didn't talk to Mr. Edwards. We didn't got in touch with them. We just stroked everybody. Ain't nowhere we go from here. We sit in our subpoenas because that's what we said we was going to do. And that's the problem. We always talk this tough talk when we get together what we think shouldn't be going on. We know what our rights are and what our authorities are. And if we won't utilize it, then they shouldn't respect us. You're not respecting yourself in the position. Now, it's city business to get the budget together for the ombuds person. And we got all these people in the city telling us who we should hire, when we should be able to have this, what office we can meet in. But we can't get nobody to tell us from finance what's going on with the financials so we can put our budget together. This city business, they work for the city. And we got to beg them to come. This is part of their job. And now we done met with everybody and kissed up to everybody and talked nice to everybody and all this. And as far as Pastor not being able to maybe make it Thursday and you going out of town. If he can't.
I'm not going out.
Okay, but I'm saying if he can't make it due to what he has going on, is it likely that this gentleman or this gentleman or this gentleman can go with you? I'm gonna be honest, I don't care to go. I'm a hothead and I'm gonna be honest, I'm at the end of, because I've been here since we set this up. And on top of being a hothead, I've experienced the runaround. And it's the same old two-step, and I see us going back into that song and dance. So, if Mr. King, if he can't go, please pick somebody else so we can move forward. We can't keep waiting. Okay, time is what we don't have. When people want justice, they want you getting on it now. If I've been wrong, I don't have 2-3 months for y'all to hee-haw. Okay? That's the point of us sending people registered letters. Remember that? You send them a registered letter. They don't show up. Okay, they didn't show up. Then we still talk to Mr. Edwards. Guess what? They still ain't showed up. Okay, guess what? They done decided they ain't showing up because they don't want to answer the question about how they took some money out of our budget and spent it over here and the ombuds person can't even get an office. They don't want to answer that.
Well, yeah, well, we haven't sent out a request back for them to come to Mr. Edward, but we would do that tomorrow.
Thank you.
But I guess you make some interesting point. I guess what I would entertain is, what's the next?
Just put it in writing.
Yes.
What's the? Let's take prioritize what this board think is the number one thing that we should be moving. 1, 2, 3. Let's what should we be working on today? What should we be pushing?
Finance right now.
Finance for March 14th.
Yeah, finance. That's the number one thing that's pushing for finance. That's definitely number one.
That's include budget.
Yeah. The number 2 item, I would possibly say, once we get finance out the way, because we're going to go for because the 14th. You know what? Did we hear from the city clerk for using 314 council chambers?
It's the council chambers. They're being remodeled. Renovated.
Yeah,
When they start though?
When are they starting?
That's a good question. But that was.
They're looking at a couple of months, and I'm not sure, but let's look at it this way. Why should we need to look at somewhere we know gonna be permanent. And Mr. Council Chamber, at our meeting date is where we want, we need to, if the city can accommodate us, then we need to be looking at somewhere that we can be, that we can have our meeting at the time there.
Agreed.
And I guess that's would be the thing that I had to ask the clerk in the city. Yeah, if you can't, just let us know, and we'll look, then we'll budget for it.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the only way we're gonna be, but we can't be moving around and think we're gonna have the public. One thing, the public can't find us,
That's right.
you know, so we.
I can't find it, so how they gonna find it?
Mr. Chairman, I got another point I want to make. I would urge us to communicate in a letter form so that we have a trail of what is going on. Because if you meet, we run into the situation of he said, she said, and I really feel we need to put it in writing so that we have some documentation of what we're asking for.
That's why we didn't want to meet with the city attorney. That's why we didn't want to meet with the city attorney by ourselves, because we wanted to make sure that we had full documentation. And that, in case he said one thing to us, and we come back to the board and he said it's something totally different. I agree with you.
And also, I think that when you guys meet with these city officials, I think that you should take Ms. Little. She is our official secretary. She needs to take minutes. That is your official paper trail, right there. And
Or you can request, if anybody doesn't have any problem, that it can be recorded.
Technically,
she's recorded.
But technically, I don't want to get Ms. Little involved because she's the interim ombudsman.
Oh, right.
And
I forgot about that.
Yeah, we have to, we got to
Yeah.
isolate her.
Okay, well, back, but Ms. Little needs to send finance a reminder, send Mr. Edwards a reminder letter.
Okay, I got that.
Yeah, and here,
Yes,
And the chairperson signing.
yeah,
Okay.
as now, we would have to, she would have to send out communication. But we can always budget for our own secretary.
We should. I mean, if we
Yeah,
don't man
we
this
need-
office up,
Yeah,
who's
we
gonna
should. We do. We need to have our own.
That should be,
We should have our
that
own.
should be one of the items that we would put in the budget.
Both of you sign it.
Yeah. Yeah, we definitely need to put in our budget for a secretary, and then also a part-time stenographer as well. Because even though the meetings are going to be recorded, you still want to always keep a paper trail, so that people can, if they need to, they can always pull it and see and look at these documents.
Be able to subcontract with
Right.
someone. May not
Because
need them all the time, but.
yeah, we'll only need them for basically like when we meet on Tuesdays, or if the board we call a special session and we're meeting with somebody and we just wanted to go on record.
And I think, yeah, and I think with that being said, I'm hearing we need a secretary, a stenographer. I think we need at least a part-time attorney that we can refer to that's independent from the city, that we can get sound legal advice from, and we need to budget for that, because look at us now, we need to talk to legal and see, we need somebody, if this is going to be an efficient office, we need to have our people set up like we're efficient, so we can make that phone call and say, look, this is what we have. Okay, we had 2 city council people be questioned on their possible living out of the area. We need a private investigator, even if it's part-time. We need to plan for a private investigator, like I said, in case they got to do a stakeout, in case they got to help us gather up some information. Who got time to really lay down? If you got real corruption issues, it's organized. You not gonna make an accident and catch somebody that's organized in their illegalities. You ain't gonna just stumble up on it and catch them, unless they get very arrogant, and that's usually because nobody's watching them. Now, if we got somebody that got sense enough to try to hide their hand, you gonna need somebody that's their job to catch them. Okay? If you got the police, the CIA, the FBI, what make y'all think that the Ethics and Accountability Board don't need nobody? Why y'all don't need nobody, but everybody else needs somebody? That's it.
Yeah, well, I agree with it, if nothing else, and that's probably it's something that should have been in there, because the funding is not there, but the ombudsman office is supposed to have investigated. And I don't think we got the fund in there, but that's one thing should be
Added a line item. These things should be jobs.
Get that budget up.
Yes.
250, we know we're gonna
You know
have that,
what?
but we don't have that.
The private investigator, the PI, would go under, if we had 2 investigators in the office.
Well, the ombudsperson is an investigator.
Right.
But what I'm saying is the ombudsperson is the ombudsperson. That's their day job. Now, to think they're going to be able to sit outside somebody's house for 3 nights to see if they live in the district is absurd when you got a $250,000 budget that you ain't scratching the surface on, when it's a guy out there that want to pay his bills that are asleep in his car and ride around and follow their tail from here to Arkansas. Let him do it. It ain't the taxpayers that paid for it, and this is what they said they want. What you being so stingy for? Let them do it. They want to get on to business. Let's get on to it.
That's why I tell people all the time, I said, if you're going to bring a complaint, I need you to bring in proof. Don't come in here just complaining.
Now I got to investigate, and I got to complain. I got to investigate it too. I got a day job. I got to pay my water bill, my taxes.
No. What I'm talking about is if there's a complaint of a city, like for instance, let's say you got a broken water pipe and it's been running for the last 2 months. Don't just say I got a broken water pipe. Take a picture of it and bring it in so that we're like, there's a water pipe at this street and this street. Oh, okay, I see what you're talking about. Because, people can complain all day long.
Body, right?
Yeah, people can complain all day long and come to find out.
Well, that's the ombudsperson's job. Really.
I
that's the ombudsperson. Now, we got a complaint right here. Ride by there. See, she on her day job. She got time for that.
Now, I will say
she got time for that. She ain't got time to pop no tent.
Now, I will say
and sit outside somebody's house all night.
The former ombudsman lived in the same ward of the city council person that was being complained about. I don't think that they wanted to get involved in a political issue. So
see, and that's another thing.
And so it boiled down. The advice that was boiled down to us was that vote him out of office.
Okay, but see, that's cowardly now. When all you had to do was get the private investigator, get on it. He gonna come back and tell you what it is.
That's why we voted him out.
He gonna come back and tell you what it is. You ain't gotta throw it off on the ombudsperson. The private investigator, look, this guy ain't been home in 79 days at this address. Okay, well, when the last time you been home, sir? I live there every night. Well, we had you investigated. This man say you ain't been there in 79 days. See, he ain't got no problem with it.
Yeah, well, 2 things. One, I think they got other ways. I'm not gonna. I know we got a complaint about the council not living in the ward.
Yeah, we tabled that.
That come under some other state laws and stuff, and there's nothing that say you got to spend every night at home.
I say 79 days, and if you done told the story.
Well, it's 100. You got to spend. The state says you got to spend at least 6 months.
And you got that be your address.
That's got to be your address.
But it
and the cities,
you got to live.
You got to physically be in there. It doesn't say that.
Right.
So I mean, but that's something we getting a little bit out the
well,
job. But I guess what I wanna
we got to have somebody making sure.
What I wanna bring us back.
City ordinances.
Let's get back to
need to be updated.
What the ombudsman job and what this board job. Now, we don't want to get the whole job come together. The ombudsman, now the reason this board was put together was to keep politics out of the ombudsman
office, right.
we are basically here when it comes to something like something filed against an elected official, an apartment head. That is the installation for the ombudsman so that they can't start using that. They can't do their job. Anything else is complaint is the ombudsman.
Yeah.
Well, that's where we should leave at. But when it comes to appointees and
Elected officials.
elected officials, that's where we should be stepping in.
City council is elected official.
Right, and now the ombudsman should be investigating that. This
Right.
board, that's for this board.
Private investigator.
That's for us to take that, and they pass that to us.
Now, I will say,
Department, that's where we use, the only time the ombudsman would get involved with that if we say we want you to go and investigate this or talk to such for this board.
that's when, according to the charter,
Yeah.
that's when we'll go out. But the other issue that we have is, and I looked at the city ordinances. Oh my God, they are a mess. They're old and they're a mess. Like when I looked up I specifically looked up residency. The city of Flint does not directly address residency. It does not say that the bulk of them, the state says the bulk of your mail is wherever the bulk of your mail goes, that's where, your residence is, where your cars are insured at. That's your actual residency. But the city doesn't really have strict residential laws when it comes to officials. That's why they're able to get away with this thing, because they've looked at city ordinance. City ordinance doesn't have any true definition. Oh, okay, fine then. I'll live in Davidson, but I'll still have a couple of bills at my old location in Flint, and this is just enough to satisfy city ordinances, and that's the problem.
But your ID gotta show that.
Yeah,
Your driving license better show that that's your address.
but see, that's
So that's what.
But that's the problem.
Thing that's gonna track you.
But that's the other thing. I can have my ID in Flint and not live in Flint.
Exactly.
And
But you can't have no ID somewhere else.
But
no, but what I'm saying is I can like, for instance, I can live in Davidson as long as I have my as long as I have a couple of bills here and my ID is registered here in Flint, and also my voter registration is here. I may not ever live in that house but 2 weeks out of the year, but the bulk of my time is in Davidson, and the city ordinance is so loose that that's how a lot of people are able to still stay on city council and live elsewhere, because the ordinance itself is loose. The ordinance needs to be tightened up when it comes down to
Needs
residency.
to be tightened up.
But I think that's across the country. Though.
Yeah, state law.
If they didn't come there one night out the year, we ain't gonna know, because we ain't got nobody that's gonna do it.
She back to that.
But you gotta look at the state law.
Yeah.
The state tell you
The investigator.
you gotta prove to me where you live at, and then I'll issue you your identification.
Right.
Your identification goes with you wherever you go. You can't say I live in Davidson and they ask you for your ID and they don't say Davidson.
But I can own a house in Davidson.
Don't matter.
But that could be but that could be the bulk of my time.
Don't
and
matter.
So
You don't live there. That's not your address.
Well, let's get back on track.
Right.
Okay.
Well, yeah, just there.
Where are we?
But
No, you had your hand. I thought you
Oh,
had
no,
it.
I was about to say, as far as like he was saying with the ID and stuff, if you don't do the
Yeah,
right thing,
yeah,
when
but-
you move to
but-
Davidson, get
but-
your stuff changed, they hold on to that Flint stuff, because that's, and again, the initial complaint coming to the bus person's office and stuff like that, we bring to the board. And from past, they did bring the voter registration, they did bring a copy of the driver's license, they did. and it offset
You
Flint.
can do.
Yeah.
That's
And
why
you
I need
find out
an
all the way.
investigator sitting on the corner of their block.
We gonna who nominate Miss McIntosh? I know I can't do no nomination.
That's why I got this PI. That's why I got it down here.
I see you very passionate about that.
Yeah, PI. Let's get out of this business.
She is.
We should investigate.
But we,
Like
but
MacGyver.
let's,
Yeah, so,
okay, we.
But in order for us to move forward with the budget report, to get the budget ready, we need to invite the finance
Financial
director.
department.
Well, that's already went out.
So that's, we can go forward with our next item on the
And get
agenda.
the
At the next
information from
meeting,
Ms. Thompson.
at the next meeting,
Get to send me
we
that.
would know if
I
that
sent it to you.
doesn't happen,
See if you got it.
then whatever it takes, we go with the speed.
Yeah.
We have the city manager been told what we're gonna do. He's there. If he can't make it happen, then we move on.
Right. I agree.
I don't believe in sending out these letters and stuff. Second time, we do it one time.
That's what I'm
And
saying.
the charter said, and,
Okay, yep, I got it, Miss Shasta.
so,
We got a date for.
we
the
was
interview.
got down to the meeting,
That was the
looking at,
Yeah,
well,
we did get a date.
Budget committee.
Are we going through with that date, 3/14,
I thought
for
that
the
was,
interview?
I thought that's what we were going
That's our
for.
meeting date.
Yeah.
that's meeting date. We're gonna do the interview and we're gonna keep on in the meeting.
So that is,
We're gonna do that, then we're gonna still have our regular meeting.
okay, but that is gonna be the
Now,
interview date.
now I would ask, do we wanna have interview the two candidates, top of the meeting? And then get to, do we wanna do it? We need to see where do we wanna put it?
It'll be the same difference, because it ain't
Well,
too
we're
far,
gonna-
ain't nothing too far down.
Well-
Everything is,
Is how are we gonna bring them in? Number one, we're gonna bring them in separate and do the question, but we don't need, we're gonna have the CFOs there for question. We wanna make sure they don't need to be there for that, they're not there for that. Well, they could be public if they wanna be, they sit in a public meeting. But where do we want that to be put in the agenda?
For the
Interview.
for the
how
interview.
y'all do, Ms.
I thought they said they gonna do
Miss
it
Terry.
before the meeting, or after the meeting.
Did you have a separate date for Ms. Tenay or
I said 10.
What's that?
Ms. Tenay? When you guys interviewed, thank you. When you interviewed her the first time, was it done on a separate day outside of a meeting, or if it was during the meeting, was it at the
It
top
was a
or
separate meeting, it was a separate meeting.
it was a separate meeting?
It was a separate meeting.
Okay,
But we don't have to, we do it what worked best for us.
right.
And that's what I'm trying to find out, the date of the interview. Is that going to be on the 14th, or is that going to be on a separate date?
We decide, since we all gonna have to meet that day, it's gonna work best to do it at that time.
It's going to be done earlier, because we meet at 5:30. So
Well,
I
we
would think
can,
that the interviews would be much earlier.
and that's what Mr. Smith need to get in contact with, so we need to set tomorrow, we need to let him know.
And there was but I think it was a problem at the last meeting with some of the board members being able to get here earlier.
Yeah, that's
Right.
right. 'Cause
Time.
that's what
Yes,
it
that was
Right.
the board members couldn't make it.
We
here
need at
any
least,
earlier.
we need at least have a quorum.
Yeah, you're right.
So that's more like where we have a quorum. And I believe if we met 5 o'clock, you could meet, somebody could meet at 5.
No, I couldn't get here till 5:30.
That's why.
It's difficult for me also after 5, but that's okay.
And then
Yeah,
also,
so-
and then also, Mr. Brusso, You know, with him working, with being in school, we thought about you. We thought about you as well.
So we'll get over at 2:30. I mean, ideally, anything before 3:30 I couldn't do, but you know, there's always stuff to do after school.
Yeah.
I mean, it all depends.
My thought is we do it starting at the meeting. And we just have the CFO there. And we should still be able to get in and out of our meeting. We shouldn't be able to a half hour to do that.
Do your roll
The
call.
interview.
Should be, what, a half hour each candidate? You got two candidates?
I don't think we're
I don't
gonna have
think
many
it'll be a half
questions, two
hour.
candidates. I
How
think
many
we should,
candidates? Two.
Two.
I don't think we should be in there no half hours with
20
candidates.
minutes, I would think anywhere between 20 minutes to, you'd be surprised interviewing easily half hour. I can see that real easy.
I don't think we did,
You gotta have to score them.
Who proposed these?
well,
Me,
Okay.
oh, that's, then everybody else, we're gonna put these together.
I just throw them together.
But, while I got this draw here.
I'm sorry.
We can do the interview and then
Score.
score 'em, and we can vote on that next meeting.
I had suggested that when you interview them, I've been through the interview process a number of times. Usually the way we would do it, we would interview, and each one of us would score based on the questions. You can, each question, whatever questions you choose, whatever questions you choose can have a score number. One could be the weakest, and a 5 could be the highest. And then after they're interviewed, each person who is interviewing them, you could tally your scores up. And that kind of gets rid of a lot of the biases. And then after you get your numbers together, then you can discuss them.
Yeah.
But you have already scored them, see?
And I have
That's
a
how we do it.
suggestion with the questions, because this has been about 2 months now. He has proposed some questions. Any other questions, if you want me to get them together, I need them as soon as possible. I mean,
Okay,
you can
so-
just email me, say, any
Okay, I'm
other
gonna give you
questions.
this paper.
I'm gonna make sure that everybody's not submitting, that's not down there, it's not
Right,
a
I'm gonna give
duplicate
you-
of it.
So
but-
these are some of the questions,
I want to see. You mind if I see yours?
yeah, after I read them to you guys.
Okay.
Okay, one of the questions because if we looking for somebody to do this job, then I'm gonna ask you questions about the job. So, have you ever
Yes, we are.
subpoenaed
Yeah, you
someone?
gotta,
How familiar are you with the law?
careful.
How many investigations have you ever done or participated in? Have you ever turned anyone in for a crime?
No.
Do you understand that the board is the superior to the ombuds person in this office? Answering directly to the board through the chair. Okay, so they can understand, they don't work for the mayor's office, they don't work for the, you see what I'm saying? That this board and this chair, this is who you
You can ask them.
Yeah.
How do you perceive
Well,
the organization of?
we could dress it up how, put
And
the
let them
perfume.
answer it.
Yeah,
We
put the
wanna
perfume
ask
on the
them.
pig however you want, but, I just figured something along those lines. And,
I don't know if we can ask about crime. Yeah, because we're not, most of them, I don't think we can ask
you
about
can ask, have
crime.
you ever turned somebody in for a crime and they gotta be an investigator and turn somebody in?
Not necessarily because they may have.
Have you ever reported a crime and reported somebody for committing a crime? That ain't illegal to ask nobody.
Yeah, but I don't think.
What's the relevance?
You don't-
Yeah, I'm trying to.
The relevance is this: if somebody commit a crime, can you turn somebody in? That's very relevant.
Right, but I don't think the ombudsman turns anybody in. They just report.
If they have to, you should. If you see somebody, Mr. Ombudsman or Miss Ombudsperson, if you see somebody committing a crime, you of all people shouldn't have to check with nobody else to report them. If you see a bank robber leaving the bank and he dropping money out his pocket, should nobody have to tell you, Miss Ombudsperson, to beat it down here to the sheriff department? That's what I'm saying. I'm not saying,
Pick it up,
you
put it
know,
in the
get out here and
But to
deputy dog.
I like it. That was good.
He said, pick it up and put it in the budget, so we can get our investigator.
Yeah, but, I don't know what was that?
Just
Why are we discussing that?
Because
What was the question?
It was some of the questions.
some of the
that was
questions that.
Oh, that
roundabout.
saying,
Even
right,
if
something
we
she-
don't word it like this.
Proposed questions.
To get them into me as soon as possible so
Yeah,
that I
just
can get them
propose.
lined up and make sure we don't have duplicates. The second thing is, you're gonna meet with Mrs. Smith, correct?
Yeah.
Is HR has to call the candidates to
Right.
schedule
Right.
the interview.
Right.
Okay.
Right. And if that's not gonna work, Ms. Lilla send that back out. Let us know that the candidate won't be there. We had to pick another date, but I don't know.
The
Why?
They
Because
can't
they
make
want
it
a
up.
job, they make a
If
reason.
they can't make it, you
Maybe
gotta-
they don't need a job if they can't come to the
But
interview.
yeah, what we need to,
I ain't never heard nobody change the interview day.
we need to make sure all the questions that we're gonna have is been there and invested, make sure, at the point that you're making is that there's something in law that we shouldn't be able to answer them that way.
Right.
We wanna make sure that we're not doing
From a
anything.
from a legal standpoint,
Right.
question what we can ask.
Yeah.
And then
You
what
want me
we
to call
can't
the
ask.
attorney right now and find out? When you got the shucking job? When you got the shucking
Well,
job?
you got your civil rights laws.
We just
Right.
know, we just know that you are in the
Yeah,
wrong.
you got civil, you got laws that govern them things.
Right, no,
Especially when you get into municipality law.
right,
That's what you have to have, an attorney that specializes in municipality, government law.
Okay, so
But,
so we're gonna submit the questions and HR is gonna contact the candidates and they'll let
Right.
me know if they yea or nay.
yeah,
Okay.
well, we ain't asked for no yay. We ain't got the interview at that time.
That's they
haven't
date.
chosen to
And if
be
you,
They
interviewed
refuse
on the
decline.
14th
Okay.
at 5:30.
yeah, and if you can't, you come be there, we take it that you,
I'm not
decide
interested.
not to,
Okay,
you don't want the job.
all right.
Yeah, I don't blame you.
Yeah,
So that's,
they probably got a letter, stuff, a standard letter anyway.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're not beholden to them. We're trying to get some work done. And we get everybody right. We keep putting stuff off, trying to satisfy everyone instead of doing what we need to be doing and moving on.
Okay.
10.
So, candidate interview on, what is that, 14th?
Yes,
14th.
it's in the minutes.
Okay, and we're requesting the chief financial officer to be here.
the question is, have they found one yet?
Yeah.
Well, whoever's in that position now,
You want
that's what we
to,
want.
Yeah, don't say chief if they haven't found the chief, cause then they'll say,
What they got?
oh, we didn't send nobody cause we don't have a
Or
chief.
acting head. Or acting
Whoever in
head.
that position.
Yeah.
Or acting head.
but you gotta also think about, are you gonna, have them at the whole meeting,
But they,
at 5:30?
you mean
They
the
come
Are
and
you gonna
sit
even have
here
them?
while they interviewing and all that?
chief
Are
financial.
you asking for them to be there on the 14th?
I want them there.
I think.
Okay, what about,
We're working on a budget. We're going to, well, we can,
If they show up, I think they should go before the interview, because you interviewing for a job.
okay,
you have
well,
to
we
be
can do that.
patient.
We-
Yeah, you should.
You
be
just have
patient.
them both come in, and if the person is here, then you just let them
Well,
be.
Yeah.
what if
Okay.
they try to
So-
send the person that works on the unbuzzed person's office budget instead of the chief financial officer? Is that acceptable to the board?
I think that would be, somebody that has some.
They just have to be able to explain,
Yeah, but I'm saying the person that actually is working on the board.
because
It-
maybe
it would be
the
better
chief
if-
is not really,
It
don't
would be
even
better
know
if it was
nothing.
a supervisor, because if we had
Director, yeah.
if we had a regular person here, they very well may clam up. And they very well may
So make
not
sure
be
it's
able
a
to get
supervisor
it.
at
So
least.
make sure it's a supervisor that can go into depth with questions.
I said or acting head.
Here's the thing I have with that. Right now, we got a $250,000 budget.
Say that again?
$250,000 budget.
Yep.
Why would we worry about them doing the budget and worry about what we can do with the budget, what we can have. If the ombudsman say they budget for certain things, this is what I'm budgeting for. Either that's what it is, unless it's something that by law you can't budget.
Right. So, yeah, so we're not trying to ask them, can we do this and do that and do that? What we want to know is, how did this get spent last
Right.
year type of stuff, you know what I mean?
And
So-
the buzz person can't even request a space for them to do business. How did you get that money out the buzz person's budget and they can't get leasing space out their own budget for themselves? How does that work?
Yeah, those type of
Something like
questions.
that. They budget, and you gotta show me why they can't budget. So,
Okay.
but where we wanna do that, start at a meeting.
Yeah. And then right after, we can go right into the,
Just have them there,
the interviews.
okay? So, yeah, that's how we would do the agenda.
So are we trying to secure the dome?
I think we're trying to secure
We
wherever
wanna
we can get
secure
it.
where we can get.
Okay.
That's
So
right.
what I'm saying, if we can get the dome, then the candidates can sit in here.
Yeah, that's fine, yeah. This works
Mhm,
because
this
we wanna
works.
make sure that we have enough venue, because if the public does come,
Right, okay.
we wanna still have enough where people can come.
Yeah.
Okay, so
we
that's,
can-
that's, I wanna start working
Yeah,
on that now.
it has to either be the dome or council chambers. I don't care what they look like, it's gotta be either one or.
Big enough to
But
accommodate.
here's, and I do wanna draft a letter to the clerk for the city council, I don't care, all of them, that this board must have a permanent meeting place. How are that gonna be handled? If they can't do that, then we need to budget, find somewhere that we can start meeting. They need to put in a budget that we can afford to move this office somewhere else.
Cause the dome is not enough, it's nowhere near large enough to hold 11 members of this board.
And the acoustics is very poor.
It is.
Right, yeah, so I would rather go back to council chamber, go back to the council room that where we started at. But we can't, I'm not gonna sit here every week, every 2 weeks trying to find somewhere to meet. And the public we can't ask the public. So-
Well, we finna close.
Oh,
We very close.
That's, okay, before you leave,
Before
we
you
got,
leave.
that's gonna break the form, has anything else right quick?
Just closing remarks. Anybody have anything?
No closer?
Yeah, I've been telling people all the time. I'm coming to find out, a lot of people have complaints. A lot of people aren't coming down here because of one, where it is, two, a lot of people don't know, even though we give them public notice, and it's posted that, we are meeting here. I think it would be a good idea to put it out like ABC
Press release.
press releases.
Yes.
Listen, so I would definitely do this. Let's do a press release for the 14th, letting people know that we will be conducting the 2 interviews for the ombudsman's office. That gives us accountability with the people. That way, that gives us more weight to get the venue that we want to get, because we need it because of the people, for access to the people. And that's something I think we should do. We just to start releasing press releases about our meeting dates.
Now, I do have a media list that I send each notice to
Okay.
every month. I
Uh,
send it via email.
to the
And you don't want
to the news stations.
I'll CC the media list I have, but I will make it, you wanna make it directly just to the
And you don't
news
wanna
station
put-
to schedule that someone comes.
Yeah.
You ain't even secured the room before we get embarrassed.
No, it's not, that's to make us to secure the room that we want. Because if the public knows and the public shows up, they have to give us the venue we want in order to accommodate the public.
Now,
But if
they
something is
already
going
booked.
on, if
I was
something's already
just gonna say, they
scheduled,
don't have to do
Yeah.
if
nothing.
somebody's already scheduled.
Yeah,
Because
You
what
just
they, what
can't
they're
put the cart
doing,
before the horse, that's all.
Right.
that too. But
but what you're doing, you got other boards that.
Like
is
they in there
scheduled.
now, over there.
And those boards been in place long before this board. So we'll work that out. If they can't do it, then we do what we have to do.
okay, but that's something I did want. That's something.
Yeah.
That's something I did say. Was entertain about doing more press releases.
Yeah, but
Okay.
Definitely.
Media,
I like that.
during the media, we had to get more active as a board.
Yeah.
So we gotta do more things. So,
Move that we adjourn.
Second.
okay, the second, meeting adjourned. You can-
So I say the 14th is my
Yeah.
birthday, so.
Right.
Oh,
Uh-oh,
But you-
cancel the meeting.
You,
We don't have a quorum.
No, the only birthday I have to be home for is my wife's and my daughter's.
really? They ain't gonna celebrate it like you gonna celebrate it.
Meet my pastor.
Okay, guys,
gotta get out of here.
as I told him, I got some family stuff to take care
And
of.
who's,
Give me a
love
minute
the
to get
pastor.
everything situated and 100% be.
In fact, I had a hard time.
You,
Predominantly white.
Okay,
you won't be going back.
Also,
but they got a Lord.
Mr. Rick? Yes. You won't be, you won't start your job before the 14th.
I may, I don't
Tell
know,
him-
but I will
Tell them you
communicate.
have some loose end to tie up.
I will let you know.
Yeah.
Start.
I will call.
Please do. Let them know that you have some loose ends that you need tied up.
Yeah, I'd love to stay.
Well,
Oh,
if
thank you. Yeah, that was.
you, well, if you started next week,
I was in there. That's why. That was one of the reasons why I was late because we were draping his chair.
well, you know,
Oh, is this
By the dome. I heard about the dome.
right there? Is this one?
What you talking about?
Thanks, Paul.